Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to look at a building that's so much more than just a local theater. Seriously, this is a story that's literally written in timber. It's a direct link to the past, and wow, does it have a lot to teach us. So let's dive right in. So, picture this. We're standing in the gorgeous town of San Martín de los Andes, way down in Patagonia, Argentina. And this building right here, the Teatro San José, it's basically a time capsule. It's a perfectly preserved piece of the town's very first architectural style, and it tells this incredible story about the people who built this place from the absolute ground up. All right, so here's our game plan for unpacking its story. We're gonna see it as a window straight into the past, then we'll try to understand the world it was built in. After that, we'll break down its architecture, trace its journey from a church to a theater, and finally, explore its legacy today.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the big question, right? What can a building like this, just its design, really tell us about the sheer ingenuity of the people who founded this town?
Well, the answer is all wrapped up in this one concept, the Periodo de los Colonos, or the settlers period. Now, this isn't just some fancy architectural style. It was a way of life, a philosophy, really, that was born out of pure necessity. It's all about building with what you've got right where you are. And that's the key. Every single feature we're about to see was dictated by the unique challenges and resources of life in early Patagonia.
To really, truly appreciate this design, you've got to put yourself in their shoes. Just imagine trying to build a whole town out here more than 100 years ago. You're not just building a house, you're literally fighting against the elements, against total isolation.
And in these challenges, they directly shaped the architecture. I mean, you had awful roads, incredibly slow transportation. You couldn't just order materials. They were totally remote, isolated, and on top of all that, they were dealing with a harsh Patagonian climate. We're talking heavy snow, fierce winds. So every single nail, every plank of wood had to be found locally and used with a very specific purpose in mind.
So, how in the world did they solve all these problems? Well, the answers are built right into the structure itself. The Teatro San José is like a collection of brilliant solutions. It's a masterclass in practical, get-it-done design.
Take a look at that steep, pitched roof. That wasn't just for looks. It was absolutely essential for sliding off the massive amounts of snow they get in winter, to keep the whole thing from collapsing. It was covered in these tough local cypress shingles. And the reason it's all wood? Well, that's easy. Timber was the one resource they had tons of.
This comparison tells you everything you need to know about how pragmatic these settlers were. The outside had to be tough as nails, right? Built with solid timber to fight off the wind and rain. But the inside? Well, plaster and paint were crazy expensive, heavy luxuries. So what did they do? They often used simple Hessian cloth, burlap basically, to cover the interior walls. It was all about function over finery.
Okay, this detail is just incredible. You see the windows? They're made of all these small individual panes. Why? Because huge sheets of glass were practically impossible to transport back then. Settlers had to actually buy glass in Chile and then float it across lakes and rivers on rafts. So using small panes meant that if one broke, it was an easy fix, not a total disaster. I mean, come on, that is problem solving in action.
And here's another super clever feature. These were mostly single-story buildings, but they were built with really high ceilings. And that wasn't to make them feel grand. No, it created this huge cold attic space. In a time before refrigerators, this was the perfect natural pantry to keep food preserved through those long, tough winters. See? Every single part of the design had a job to do.
So now that we kind of get the architectural DNA of this place, let's trace the unique life story of this building. Because it wasn't always a theater. For most of its life, it was the absolute heart of the community, but in a totally different way.
So, back in 1923, the Salesian priests built it to be the town's main church, and it served that role for more than 50 years. Then, in 1979, a new, bigger church was built, and this building went dark. But, not for long. Recognizing its historic importance, the local government bought it in 1982 and gave it a brand new life as the community theater it is today. What a beautiful evolution.
So this brings us to the big finish. Why is this simple wooden building so important? Why is it so carefully preserved? And what can we all take away from its story?
Because it's so much more than just a building. It's a living, breathing piece of history. You can see the official declaration right there on the sign, Provincial Historic Heritage. It's protected because it's one of the purest, most authentic examples of that foundational Periodo de los Colonos. It teaches us about resilience, about ingenuity, and about community. It's literally the town's origin story,
told in wood and shingles.
So here's my challenge to you. The next time you walk through your own town or city, I want you to look at the older buildings a little differently. Don't just see bricks and mortar. Ask yourself, what challenges did the builders face? What materials did they have on hand? What stories are hiding in plain sight, right in the buildings all around you?